Hey everybody, welcome back to the 80s Slashers YouTube channel. In this video, I will be ranking my top 5 favorite slashers from the year 1981. Now, if you haven't already checked my previous video out on my 1981 The Year in Slashers review, you might want to go on back and check that one out. I basically break down the entire year, talk about all the slashers released, give some stats, some highlights, some lowlights, and some final thoughts on the year as a whole. But basically in that video, I discussed just how amazing 1981 was for the slasher film. In my opinion, it is without a doubt the best year of all time. Just if you just look at some of the titles, for this year, Happy Birthday to Me, Graduation Day, Funhouse, Hell Night, Final Exam, Just Before Dawn, The Prowler, My Bloody Valentine, Don't Go in the Woods, Night School. It just goes on and on. Like this, this year is just it's just so incredibly deep. It's unbelievable. So if you want more information on the year, go on back, check that video out. I'll link to it at the end of the video, and I'll put a link in the description below, of course. But because the year is just so deep, it kind of made picking a top 5, not it made it not the easiest task. But after going through these, rewatching some of them in the past, past few months, past year and stuff. I was able to pick my top 5 favorite slashers. So, yeah. So without any further delay, let's just get into it. So I'll clear these off here, and we'll start it off with number 5. All right. So let's get these out here, and we'll start it up. All right, so coming in at number 5, we have Halloween 2. Now this is a fantastic sequel to like a legendary film, of course, 1978's Halloween. The one thing I love about this film is this is like literally like a true sequel. It like picks up almost exactly where the the original film ends, like almost scene to scene. Like if you splice these two films together, take out the opening credits and take out the beginning or the closing credits of Halloween, and just put the two scenes back to back, it just continues, and I just love that. Um, it's just yeah, it's just really great. Everyone is back. Again, like since it just continues the story. Everyone from the first film is back. Of course, you have Michael Myers returning. You have Laurie Strode returning, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, of course. And you have Dr. Loomis, of course, returning, played by the fantastic Donald Pleasance. And it's great to have, everything back. Sometimes you have a sequel and not everyone comes back, and it's just, there seems like there's something missing sometimes when that happens. But this, we have everyone back, which is fantastic. Now, for me, one of the main events, main stars of this film is the setting, which is takes place almost the entire film. Takes place in a hospital. And it's just the hospital setting in this film is just it's really good. It's really dark. It's really atmospheric. It seems, and for whatever reason, on the night after a mass murder, or the same night after a mass murder, there's the local hospital in Haddonfield. It's pretty empty. There's not a lot of doctors. There's not a lot of nurses. Not a lot of patients. So maybe that's a little odd. You would think that the place would be crawling with police officers and whatnot, but yeah, it's a pretty empty, isolated hospital, which makes for a great slasher setting. There's lots of shots down like long corridors and hallways. You know, like they got like the overhead, um, um, you know, the overhead lighting. That, you know, sometimes it's flashing. You know, like some bulbs are burned out. It just, you know, so it plays with some of the light and shadows. Um, really cool setting. Fantastic. You know, it allows for some really good chase sequences. You know, Jamie Lee Curtis is, for the most part, kind of, you know, doped up and like injured from the night before. And so she's, you know, she's limping. All her senses aren't there. So it makes for some good chase scenes. Yeah, you know, Michael Myers in this film, he seemed a little more vicious. You know, in the first film, it was a lot of, you know, stalking. You know, like he did some good killing and whatnot for sure. But a lot of that was more of a tense, you know, stalking sequence. This one, there's not as much of that. It's more of a straight up slasher, which I really like. You know, in some of the later films, they stray away from, you know, the slasher formula. This one's a straight up, you know, 80s slasher, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much. Yeah, Michael's a little more vicious. You know, there's some great kills in this one. Obviously, there's like my favorite kill is probably like a hot tub. It's near the beginning of the film, but yeah, there's this great hot tub kill. There's just yeah, this is a great film. Lots to like. So yeah, so coming in at number five from 1981, I'm gonna go with Halloween 2. All right, let's move on to number four. All right, so coming in at number four, we have The Prowler. Um, now I love this film. I feel like this is an underrated film. A lot of people I've seen online reviews and written reviews don't give this film a lot of love. The biggest complaint I see is that it's slow. People say it's just a slow moving film. I don't know. Um, I don't get that. I really like this film. I like the backstory. I like how it starts in like I don't know, the 50s, 40s, 50s. It's, you know, Rosemary, it's high school girl or university girl, and her boyfriend goes away to war kind of thing, World War II or Korean War. I can't remember exactly which war. Um, but you know, when he's gone, she moves on and she gets another boyfriend, and you know, he comes back, and you know, they're at like like a school dance or celebration, and he comes back and he kills Rosemary and her new fella. And you know, it's one of that familiar story, you know, like there's doing like a certain dance, so they're like, oh, don't do that dance again, or the killer's gonna come back, kind of thing. And of course, you know, present time in 1981, and the people decide to have the dance again, so the killer comes back and start up again, kind of thing. And it's you know, very familiar story. We've seen it plenty of times. Um, but it's really well done. I like that backstory. I like the initial setup back in like the, you know, the 40s 50s type setting. It's really good. It's just really done well. Another thing I like, the killer is fantastic. You know, has the war outfit, the helmet, the dark face, the military fatigues. Really great. He's really scary, pretty intimidating. And I like how the killer uses multiple weapons. You know, like there's some knife kills. There's a couple. The use of like a military bayonet done really cool. Some really good kills with that. He even uses like a pitchfork, which is great. You know, there's like a shower scene. There's yeah, there's just a lot of good stuff in this film. But of course, you can't talk about the Prowler without talking about the special effects for the kills, practical effects, and that was of course done by Tom Savini. And now Tom Savini did a lot of slasher films, all of them fantastic, in terms of their kills. I think, in my opinion, I think this is his best work within the slasher genre. You know, I know he did, you know, Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, so that's kind of a different genre of film. But in terms of slashers, I think this is his best work. And I think I read somewhere that he actually credits this as his most the film he's most proud of in terms of the practical effects. So, you know, take that for what it is. But they're fantastic. The kills in this, they're the main attraction. You get so many great kills. Like you said, you get some throat slits. There's some like a pitchfork in the shower scene, like I talked about earlier. There's a really cool, like I said, a bayonet. Like a guy gets like a bayonet through the head, which is fantastic. Like this scene here on the cover, there's like a pool scene, very atmospheric, very tense. Really good. And then of course we get like a shotgun blast to the head, like an exploding head, which is fantastic. Like this, the kills in this, we just get it all. Really, really good. There's the bayonet scene there. Yeah, this is a good one. This is a really good film. A lot of good kills. This is probably one I might actually. It's been a while since I've watched it, like a couple years maybe now, so I might go back and review this again. So, if you're interested in that, let me know. Leave a comment below if you'd be interested. And I'd also like to kind of do one of my ranking the kills for this one because there's so many good kills. I like to go back and just rank them and put them in order and all that stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's coming in number four. Um, is the Prowler. All right, let's move on to number three. All right, so coming at number three, of course, we have The Burning. Now I really enjoyed this film. This has a great setting. Of course, it takes place at a summer camp, and at this point in time, the summer camp setting is kind of cliche. 'Cause we've seen it so many times now. It's just, oh, people see it now. They're like, oh, another slasher set at a camp. But when this came out, it wasn't so cliche. We had the original Friday the 13th, uh, and then this was probably the second one that came out. It came like a year to the day almost from Friday the 13th. So, um, regardless of all that, it's a great setting. The summer camp in this one it's really good. It's one of the highlights for me. I just really like it. But there's a lot of stuff I like about this film. There's a lot of great characters in this film. This had a fantastic cast. Like the actors, some really good actors. Of course we had like Holly Hunter. We had of course Jason Alexander from Seinfeld fame. And Fisher Stevens. So a really really good young cast in this film. Um, we had of course, Tom Savini is responsible for the practical effects in this film as well. So of course we get some fantastic kills. Now, anyone who's familiar with this film, of course, is knows of the raft scene, which is the most infamous scene in this film, and for good reason. It's fantastic. I won't get into if you haven't seen. I won't get into too much about the plot or anything, but the raft scene is basically a bunch of these kids, teenagers like camp counselors. They're on like a homemade raft, like a big bunch of just like a homemade raft, like a wooden raft, and they're paddling, trying to get away from the killer, whatnot, and the killer kind of this is kind of a shot from that. But yeah, the killer kind of pops out of the water with these garden shears and just takes every person on the raft apart piece by piece. There's fingers getting cut off, there's throats getting slit. It's just fantastic. Yeah, so yeah, the kills and the practical effects in this film are just great. Fantastic setting. There's this film has some decent nudity. This made my top 10 films for nudity. This film actually, this may not be important to anybody, but just to throw it out there, this film actually has a scene of full frontal nudity, which you don't get too often. You usually get like the regular TNA, but it's brief. But there is a quick shot of female full frontal nudity. So it's yeah, this film kind of threw everything at you. It kind of had it all. Good killer, good kills, great setting, good acting. Um, yeah, I really like this one. So yeah, coming in at number three from 1981, obviously, is The Burning. All right, let's move on to number two. All right, so coming in at number two, we have Friday the 13th, Part 2. What can I what can I say about this film? This is, one of the best, one of the best 80s slashers of all time, one of the best Friday the 13th films of all time. Everyone's familiar with this film. Um, yeah, I love this. This is, of course, this is the debut of Jason Voorhees as a killer. We have Sackhead Jason, who I love Sackhead Jason. I think he's great. I think he's a little underrated. Um, I always found him really, really scary. There's a couple scenes of, when he's, the final chase, I believe, when he's chasing Ginny through the woods. And there's a couple scenes of him just running through the woods with that sack on his head. Um, it scared the crap out of me as a kid. I can still remember seeing there was just a couple scenes in particular, just really freaked me out as a kid, and it's always kind of stayed with me. So I think that's why I really have an appreciation for this film. It's one of my highest ranked Friday the 13th. And of all the Friday the 13th films, this is the most scary. It's tense. It has some real terror to it, I think. It still does. It holds up. Yeah, like it just I don't know what it is. There's like a hard edge to it, just the way it was filmed, and maybe the music, and just I don't know. It's still kind of scary. A lot of the later films in the franchise would definitely move away from that. They would get almost to the point where they're kind of cartoony in their horror. But this one is a legit horror movie. In my opinion, I last time I watched it, I was like, wow, there's some tense moments in this film, which is what I really like about it. Um, Now, of course, the kills in this are fantastic. We have a lot of not a lot, but there's some edited moments in this. So that's too bad. If you want to look at the kills, I have another video on the channel where I rank all the kills for these, so I'll link to that in the description below. But yeah, the kills are fantastic. Some really good stuff in this. I just wish they weren't as edited as they were. Um, and in the whole franchise, this film has the best final girl, in my opinion, in the character of Ginny. She's a smart, tough final girl. Um, she introduces some psychological elements to her, combating Jason. And it just makes for a really good ending when you have a really solid, believable final girl. So yeah, this Friday film has it all. It's one of my favorites. It's yeah, like what? It's not much more I can say. Like everyone is probably pretty familiar with this film. So yeah, coming in at number two from 1981 is Friday the 13th, Part 2. All right, let's move on to number one. All right, so number one, my favorite slasher from 1981 is My Bloody Valentine. Um, I love this film. I've done a review on this channel for this film, so I'll link to it in the description if you want to hear some more in-depth thoughts about this film. But basically, this film, the main star of this film is the location, and not just like the two parts of the location. I love like the small town feel of this film. It's like really, really blue collar, like it's a mining town. The characters just fit, like the type of town it is. It's small town Canada in Nova Scotia. It was filmed. I've lived in Nova Scotia. I'm Canadian. I lived in Nova Scotia growing up for a bit, so it's I'm obviously really biased because I have connections to this area. So it just really reminds me of growing up at this time. It just feels familiar to me. So again, bias for that, but I just love you know the the town location. But then also the location down in the mine, the scenes filmed down in the actual, like they filmed them in the actual mine, and it's terrifying down there. Like I don't. I've been in a mine before, just on a tour, and it's really scary. It's just the possibility of of a collapse and the darkness. It's scary, and when you add like a serial killer on the loose down there chasing you, it's just man, it's a really scary location. And it's one of my favorite locations in all of the 80s slasher genre. It's just fantastic. Um, and besides the location, the killer in this, the Harry Warden um, character is he's one of the best killers in all of the genre, in my opinion. Just like the look of him, the mask, the breathing, like the sound of the breathing, the pickaxe weapon. It's just so scary. There's a couple scenes of him down in the mine, just walking really methodically, using his pickaxe and just smashing the light bulbs one at a time as it gets darker and darker. It's just the visual of that is just so terrifying. Um, yeah, it's just this is really good. It has great kills, especially in the uncut version. This is the Scream Factory release, so the uncut kills are just really good, really gory, really mean spirited. Yeah, I just love the kills in this. And the one thing I love about this is, with 80s slashers, you don't always get a great story. For me, I really enjoyed the story, the the backstory, the setup, and then how it all plays out at the end with the conclusion with the modern time. It works really well, I found. There's kind of a surprise twist reveal, and that works. It's believable. It just, sometimes you don't always get that with these slashers. You kind of have to put the story to the side just so you get, like, the kills and the blood and the nudity, all that stuff that we expect from these films. Um, but this one has has a good plot. I really liked it. So yeah, this film just has it all for me. Fantastic setting, good tone, good killer, good kills, good story. Um, you know, there's no nudity in this film, but it has everything else. It's just I don't know. I just this film is fantastic. So yeah, guys, that's it. That's my top five slashers from 1981. So yeah, like I said, if you haven't checked out the 1981 year in review, I'll put a link up on the screen here and in the description below. And I'll also put a link to my top five films from 1980. So if you haven't checked that one out, you can go back and check my top five slasher films from 1980. All right, so that's it. So everyone, thanks for watching, and until next time. All right, see ya.